What's up to all my little bros out there if you were born before 1981? And what's up to all my big bros if you were born after 1981? Now, I want to give you the heads up on how to spot a fake black financial influencer. Now, a lot of people can't make this video because what they'll say is, oh, you're racist. You don't want to see the black and brown man get ahead. Well, I'm here to make this. And a lot of people who like to put in my comment section, you're an Uncle Tom, you're an idiot. You never read the book Uncle Pal's Cabin. Uncle Tom was actually the hero in that book. He actually tried to warn the slaves and put his life on the line for the slaves. So thank you so much for that comment. Now, in the black and brown community, we like that there's a saying, no snitching, but then they want crimes to be solved and they say crimes are not getting solved in the black and brown community. It's because you're not snitching. Now, I didn't grow up in the hood. I didn't grow up in the ghetto. I did till I was about in 7th grade, and my mom worked 3 jobs to get me out, because that's the goal. You're supposed to work hard to get your kids out. I moved into the suburbs of New Jersey, and that's where I've lived ever since. So I don't believe in that stupid ideology. Oh yeah, I'm snitching. So here's the thing. They need to be called out, and I've made videos on my channel in the past about them. Here's how to spot a fake black YouTube influencer who is in the financial talking with stock, the tickers and stuff like that. They love to quote Warren Buffett, be fearful when others are greedy and be greedy when others are fearful. When the tide goes out, you can tell who is skinny dipping. But they don't take Warren Buffett's advice on how to get wealthy. Now, Warren Buffett himself says, if you are the regular person, meaning if you do not do this for a living, if you do not work on Wall Street, you do not work for a brokerage institution, you should not be trying to figure out what stocks are going to make money from day to day. You're better off investing in an S&P 500 fund. Don't believe me? Take it away, Warren Buffett. Now, this is the biggest scam of them all. I had to edit this in. Before I get to the Warren Buffett clip, I want to play this. They always bring a white CoAnchor in as the numbers guy, the logistics guy. He understands it better. He's a part of the con. They'll bring in a person who once had a financial background, but now is on YouTube. Or they'll bring a guy who just popped up out of nowhere. You don't know where he is. He never really talked about his past, but he's in a suit giving you numbers, talking mumbo jumbo on a computer screen, talking about resistance levels and this level, and this is not financial advice, but if I was gonna get in, I would get in here. You got to be careful. This is psychologically to make you feel inferior, that the white guy in the suit knows more than you, because let's be honest, a lot of powerful white men wear suits in high positions. This is psychological to your eye. In reality, he's in on the scam, and he knows less than probably you, but he's a part of the scam. And if you go to his channel, he's probably selling Discords and he's selling classes too. Now, on with the Warren Buffett clip. People love to quote Warren Buffett. Well, why don't you do what one of the richest men in the world tells you to do? And then they try to finagle it. Well, we have that too. We just like to make money over here and then put the money in the S&P. No. Why? When this is the only thing you need if you're a working class person.
I think it's the same thing that makes most sense practically all of the time, and that is to consistently buy an S&P 500 low-cost index fund. Keep buying it through thick and thin, and especially through thin, because the temptation gets, when you see bad headlines in newspapers, maybe to say, well, maybe I should skip a year or something. Just keep buying it. American business is going to do fine over time. So you know the investment universe is going to do very well. The Dow Jones Industrial Average went from 66 to 11,497 in 1 century. And since that century has ended, it's more or less doubled again. American business is going to do well. The trick is not to pick the right company. It's to be, because most people aren't equipped to do that, and plenty of times I make mistakes on that. The trick is to essentially buy all the big companies through the S&P 500, and to do it consistently, and to do it in a very, very low-cost way, because costs really matter in investments. If returns are going to be 7 or 8% and you are paying 1% for fees. That makes an enormous difference in how much money you have on retirement.
At the annual meeting for Berkshire Hathaway this year, you introduced a special guest to the audience of 40,000 shareholders who were watching. It was Jack Bogle. Why did you want to recognize Jack Bogle?
I think Jack Bogle has done more for American investors than any other person connected with Wall Street or the investment process, because he, with a number of other people, he came up with the idea of the index fund. He wasn't the sole thinker behind it, but he was the guy that implemented it. And
there you go. That's Warren Buffett himself telling you just invest in the S&P 500. And now all of a sudden they want to use Benjamin Graham because I started talking about Benjamin Graham. They had no clue who Benjamin Graham was prior 2020. Now, that's another thing. They popped up in 2020, 2021, 2022 talking about finances. If you notice, they will not take Warren Buffett's advice about investing in index funds because they need you to purchase the platforms they're selling you, the Moomoos, the Weebles, the day trading platforms. They need you to purchase that. They need you to purchase that to couple along with their discords they're trying to sell you. Yes, they need to sell you stuff. They need to sell you hoodies and booklets and merchandise and all type of stuff. How are you ever going to get ahead if you're always purchasing somebody else's goods? All right. They like to say you can get 10 free stocks or 15 free stocks. You're not getting anything for free, people. You got to put money onto the platform. Now, once you put money onto that platform, you just caused yourself to have to wait for another 1099 form that you got to file with your taxes. You shouldn't have more than, I'm going to say, 3 brokerage institutions. If you got 8 brokerage institutions, that's stupid. If you got 8 brokerage institutions with $100, how is your money ever going to grow? And how is it ever going to compound, right? They're always selling you stuff. That's a red flag. Here's another red flag. They've been telling you you can get rich quick and make quick money, but you've been following them for 3 years and your situation is still the same. How is that quick money? Now, if you notice, their cars have gotten better than yours, their clothes have gotten better than yours, their jewelry has gotten better than yours, their studio has gotten better than yours, their technology with laptops and big screens behind them is better than your house. Who do you think paid for all that? Yep, you did. You helped pay for it with the streams that they got from YouTube and the streams that they got paid for, because they don't want to talk about different things because they don't want to make the boogeyman mad and get demonetized and not make money. It's about money for them. They're afraid to talk about different things because the sponsors that they pump own them. Now, here's how you can spot a lot of that stuff. They always talk about all the money that they're making with the day trading, but they put up little screenshots. They never, ever, ever, ever put the market and all their money in there going up and down and up and down and up and down in the market. It's always like a screenshot of the trades that they did or the money that they did. Or even better, they make a spreadsheet of their goals and their net worth and what they have, but they never physically, digitally, whatever. They never show it to you. They never show you the actual amount of the money that they have that's growing. They'll tell you what they're buying, but they never show you what they exactly have. That's another red flag you need to watch out for. They call themselves a financial YouTube channel, and trust me, and they say this is not stock advice. I am not a financial planner. Do your own due diligence. That should be a red flag. Why do you need to give that disclaimer if you're not giving stock advice? Now, if they are a financial channel, why are they not showing you real news clips of what's really going on in the world? Something like this. Now, I made a video recently on what people did 100 years ago after the Spanish flu. I suggest people check that video out. I will put a link in the description. Now, people like to show news clips of Tesla and Chat GPT and opening bells, but they're not showing you this. This is what's going on behind the scenes, ladies and gentlemen.
banks are bracing for an influx of defaulting payments as higher prices across the board force Americans to use credit cards. It comes as over half of Americans earning a six-figure salary report that they're actually living paycheck to paycheck. So to help us break down all of this is Megan Lenhart. She's a senior reporter for Fortune magazine. Thanks for joining us. You know, a lot of people are going to hear you make $100,000 a year and you're living paycheck to paycheck. That seems it seems like crazy talk, but it's actually happening. But we're going to get to that in a minute. First, I want to talk about what we're seeing the banks doing. The banks are bracing for putting money aside for people essentially defaulting on loans. What happens if a large number of people start to default on their payments, whether it's credit cards or their car payments or whatever it is?
Well, hey, I appreciate you having me this morning. I think that this is an important topic that we need to talk about over and over again in the coming year. Certainly last year and throughout the early days of the pandemic, since, the onset of the lockdowns, we've seen that credit card delinquencies have been historically low. Mm-hmm. So now we're starting to see a ramp up period, given the inflation, given the economic environment that we've been in. We're going to start seeing, more people sitting there and saying, I can't pay my credit card at the end of the month. And of course, now I want to stress that, again, we've been in a historically low environment. I know TransUnion and other experts are predicting somewhere where we're going to go from about 2% to maybe about 2.6% this year. Now, granted, it's still much lower than some of those crazy high rates we saw during the financial crisis. Credit card delinquencies at that point were somewhere in the 3.2 range. So again, nothing too crazy, but that does obviously have ripple effects. We're already starting to see credit card companies, banks saying, you know what, we're going to tighten our lending standards. We're going to sit there and put a little bit more money on the books to make sure that we have enough to cover this if it becomes a problem.
Right. So, you just brought up something that made me think, how do we get here? You're right. During the pandemic, when, many people were still working, but they were getting additional funding from the government, people were paying down their credit cards. It was fantastic. And then it's like we didn't learn a lesson at all, or the tables turned quite rapidly, because now we're charging more than we ever, or not more than we ever have before, but we sort of changed that.
Well, I'm not going to say I told you so. I'll let you guys say it to yourself for me. But what have I been saying? And here's another thing. They can only talk about what's popular in the financial world. Tesla, Amazon, ChatGPT, what's going on with this and that. They're recording a video as they're sitting in McDonald's parking lot. They all talk about stalwarts like McDonald's that have been around forever. They probably have a Big Mac right on their console, but they're not going to talk about how McDonald's has been crushing it in the S&P 500, consistently paying dividends, a dividend aristocrat, pretty much about to be a dividend king. They might even be a dividend king. They own the real estate that they serve the food out of. They actually rent their name and charge people just to open up franchises, that they're a cash generating machine. They don't talk about that. You want to know why? Because it's not sexy. It's not fun. It's not cool. It's not Tesla. It's not ChatGPT. It's not Google. They only talk about technology stocks, and they only talk about little stupid companies that they're making plays with, or they talk about cryptos. They don't talk about legitimate companies that a lot of people actually work at that make the world go round. They're always end game is to sell you something. You watch them for a little while, and before you know it, they will get to the reason of their video. Whether it's the first minute, middle minute, or the end, they're gonna get to the real reason why they want you to watch their channel. All right. Now, whoever seen that movie Ray, you remember that there was a quote in that movie. His mom would say, "Scratch a lie, find a thief." I made those videos because they will age like fine wine. The black Michael Burry is here, and just like him, no one listened. And then people, why ain't you saying nothing? Why ain't you saying nothing? He did, and no one listened. No regret.